Hello and welcome to today's NinjaTrader ecosystem event, Trade Management, Prop Funding, and Trade Copiers Compatible. My name is Thomas, and I'm a platform representative here at NinjaTrader. Now, before we start, I have a few housekeeping notes. Now, this webinar is presented by NinjaTrader LLC, which is a technology company responsible for developing and supporting the NinjaTrader trading software. Brokerage-related questions should be directed to the NinjaTrader brokerage team using the phone number or email on the screen. And if you are new to NinjaTrader, please make sure you sign up for a free NinjaTrader account, which includes access to 14 days of complimentary real-time market data. Our platform is always free for advanced charting, strategy backtesting, and trade simulation. You can create your free account by clicking the following link on the screen and then clicking Get Started under the Welcome screen. And before I turn the mic over to Will, it is important to understand that futures, foreign currency, and options trading contains substantial risk and is not suitable for every investor. It is possible to lose all or more than one's initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And also, please remember that these training webinars are not solicitation or recommendation, but simply educational in nature. Now, thank you again for joining us today. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome to the NinjaTrader webinar room, Will.
All right, most excellent. I want to say thank you so very much, Thomas, for the intro and just kind of getting us started here. I also want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day, and I hope that you will find this to be most advantageous and worth your while. Okay, so a lot of things we're going to talk about today, but first and foremost, let me go ahead and get you all out to the screen. I'm going to just go ahead and share that. Just kind of bear with me there. Okay, so everyone should have up the disclaimer. And of course, this being already covered, I just want to reiterate that, of course, trading in general contains substantial risks. I myself am not a licensed professional CTA, etc. Okay, in the financial markets to any degree. And yeah, so we just want to go ahead and get started with that, as this is typically on the recording. So if you want to read through it in its entirety, as I believe that to always be a good idea. I'm pretty excited about our event today. There are some things that we're going to talk about. I'm happy to address questions. Somewhat along the way, I have a tendency to try to get through the presentation. So if you don't mind, if you have questions, feel free to go ahead and post them in, just with the understanding that I may get back to them, towards the end of the session. We're going to move through this as rapidly as possible without wasting any of your all time. Okay. All right. Very good. So let's, without further ado, go ahead and get started. A little bit about PFA. So I suppose we could talk about this for a little while. Sometimes I do enjoy sharing our story with those individuals who call. We have conversations, communications, etc. But for presentation purposes, I'm going to let you know that we're an online community dedicated to supply and demand trading concepts. We've provided training materials and software to individuals looking to learn about trading since 2009. It's been a very long time. We believe in the power of having others there to support you who are on the same path as yourself. Our mission is to provide a very positive and effective environment for traders and investors who wish to utilize supply and demand trading methods and share their experiences with others as a team. Now, as I say that introduction, I do want to just, step through a couple of things there. When we talk about supply and demand trading methods, there's a lot of different methods. Okay, so supply and demand is a general term thrown around the industry, either good or neither good or bad, right? It's like support and resistance or any other naming convention, if you will. So our methods are designed around supply and demand, meaning we focus on the logic of the market. That is to say, we focus on the order flow, the underlying What does it mean to have more buyers than sellers, and so on and so forth. I can tell you definitively, especially with a recent conversation, our methods based on how we execute trades in accordance with is extremely different than that of many. But hey, look, at the end of the day, neither good nor bad. We all have our own approach, right? And I think that's a good thing, to individualize, and you just really got to find what works for us. Okay, so we would love to hear from you. Contact us at our URL there, purefinancialacademy.com. You can email us at support@purefinancialacademy.com, and of course you can call us anytime at 404-863-1651. That being said, we may not be available for phones on the weekend or outside of business hours. So I appreciate your understanding. I don't know if these are clear. We talked about this beforehand. Thomas and I appreciate that very much. And I believe these are clickable on your screen. Not to worry. I'm going to share a few links with you momentarily that will get you out to some more specific links. And of course, if you want to kind of navigate to our homepage, you can do that at any time. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and continue moving forward. Now that you know a little bit about PFA, today we're going to be talking about trade management. I cannot tell you the level of excitement. Every time I come in here, I'm excited, right? I mean, number one, I love being in the NinjaTrader ecosystem. We've been, kind of working hand in hand with these guys as far as us, building products in the NinjaTrader ecosystem for a very long time. And it's always very fun. It's always very exciting. We get thrilled because we have complete and constant innovation, right? So like any company, the idea is to get to the next step. The difference with us, I would say, is that we're not getting to the next step for the benefit of generality, right? We're getting to the next step because that's what we need to do. That's what we need, right? So in our trading, for example, we need this particular version of trade management, and therefore we go through the rigorous steps of creating it and then pass it along. Okay. So it helps us. We try to keep the cost down. Just a lot goes into it and a lot of time and everything. So I appreciate your understanding in advance. But again, today we're going to talk about trade management and specifically prop funding and trade copiers compatible. Okay, so the product that we're going to be looking at today is our PFA order suite, is what it's called about. Don't worry, just if time permits, of course, we're going to get out to the live charts and we'll actually look at this as opposed to just the presentation. So let me just, kind of rapidly do this, if you will, and thank you again for understanding. Okay, so it's an advanced tool to make order management efficient. And by efficient, we mean extremely efficient. We don't want to have to go out and think about things in order to place a trade other than our trading method, our trading strategy, whatever you want to call it, execution method, and so on. Okay, so the PFA order suite is, of course, NinjaTrader 8 compatible. It's designed to increase time efficiency by utilizing multiple entry-exit methods. Far more than that. We'll talk about that as we get into it. Directly from a drop-down menu, which is placed on the actual chart itself. Bracket orders, break-even trigger lines, and our unique entry zone, very fun feature there, are easily toggled directly from the menu. Additionally, orders may be submitted to any market from any chart. It's a very key point there. We'll talk more on that as we get throughout the presentation. Order labels can be managed, submitted, adjusted at any time. Orders can be submitted using a default method or a trigger line method, so they are not visible to level 2 data until actually executed. Okay, so again, this might not make a whole lot of sense, but feel free to ask questions as we go along, and I'll try to make it make sense. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I do have a tendency to do that. We are going to have a follow-up event, though. And trust me when I tell you, we spend a lot of time in there, and we don't leave until any questions. We don't leave until all questions are addressed. So we'll give you that information in just a moment, okay? All right, so we're going to now just kind of dive right in. We've talked about what the presentation is, trade management, etc., prop funding. In fact, one of the cool things, now I'm not going to share this during this presentation. We're going to save this to our follow-up event, but just in case I forget to mention it, We actually just went through and utilizing our tool. We went through the whole evaluation process ourselves, just so you, and the video is going to be readily available. You can see how we did that and all of that good fun stuff. Again, we'll talk about that during our follow-up session, and stick to the presentation here at hand today. Okay. So the tool, again, the tool was used, and you'll be able to see how it was used in order to pass the evaluations and all the prop funding, etc. Okay. So first and foremost, we have what we call our quick access menu. Okay. Now, the menu, it kind of gives us this very well, we call it our let me just stick to the naming convention, right? We call it a quick access menu because that's exactly what it is. It's quickly accessible. We don't have to go all over the place to get to the information, or rather the functionality that I need. I got to go one place over and over and over. I mean, that's it. So if I want to submit entries, do all these manipulations, anything like that, I literally go to one place. And the great thing about that is my mouse literally never needs to leave the interior of the NinjaTrader chart architecture, right? So in other words, I can stay within the same chart, and I don't have to go anywhere else. I don't have to go load new windows. I don't have to go do anything. I just stay right there. Okay. One of the things that I'm going to do real quick as the presentation, give me just 1 second. I apologize. I should have done this in advance. So arrow options, I just want to make sure that it's visible so you all can see my mouse as I'm talking. So again, we have our quick access menu. You're going to see this on the chart momentarily. You can see the plus icon here. This over here will be called our secondary. Again, we'll get to that a little bit more as we move throughout. But suffice to say, it's very, very straightforward. If I want to submit a buy, a sell, we do have additional and or more um, kind of unique entry methods as well. Those are all built in. And there's also even some that you're not seeing here. They're a little bit more applicable to our methodology, such as to say continuation patterns. We have the ability to submit entries on certain pattern recognitions and so on. But ultimately, we wanted to show you the general entries here. So if we want to buy or sell, we also have some up and down bar entries as well. So that really comes into play for us. And again, this could be on any bar type, but for us, this is really more applicable to the Ranko, specifically PFA Ranko bar types. There are plenty of free. In fact, ours are free when every member gets our Ranko bars for free. But you can use other ones as well. I know there are even some free ones, I believe, on the NinjaTrader forum. So if you just go searching around for that. But ultimately, we can submit entries on the close of an up bar or a down bar, depending if I want to buy or sell. Very, very straightforward functionality there, but yet it takes care of the process for me, right? So let's say hypothetically, I need to step away for just a moment, but I don't want to miss that up bar, right? So I could submit an up bar entry, and essentially it would submit the entry on the close of said bar, provided that the close is higher than the open. Okay, so again, quick access menu, everything can be toggled on or off, very user friendly. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at, we're going to, we did skip ahead a little bit. As a matter of fact, I should have addressed this, intuitive menu accessibility. So if I go back, let me just step back for a second. The intuitive accessibility, what we're referring to here is in the menu itself. Okay, intuitive meaning that it kind of recognizes what you're going to have the ability to use at this corresponding time. So for example, if I were to go here and toggle, or rather, so let's say that I toggled off the OCO bracket. You're never going to see the break-even trigger, right? Because that's part of a bracket order and certain things to that extent. So in fact, I could go a step further. If I were to toggle the entry zone on, there's going to be additional functionality that displays down here as well. So that's what we mean when we say an intuitive menu. It recognizes what functionality we can or cannot have, and it kind of simplifies that menu. Again, user-friendly. We try our best, right? Not perfect, but we do our best. Now, adjustable order labels. So if you notice, we have labels on the chart here. Great thing about this is I'm going to kind of scurry through a few of these right here. But if you notice, we have those adjustable labels. Adjustable meaning, of course, we can move those, manipulate them at any time. They're going to keep track of all of these calculations. I cannot tell you, in my opinion, how magical this is, because the ability to, I know it sounds simple, and it probably is for a lot of you. But for me, I was like, how am I not getting all these calculations? So we built massive amounts of interior calculators to do it for me. I don't have to think about it. Remember, I told you earlier in the presentation, I don't want to think about this. I want to be able to execute what I'm good at, okay? Or what, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm good at, so I'm good at it, but what I believe to be good at, you can kind of base that on some certain things. But anyway, that being said, I don't want to have to think about P&L. I don't want to have to think about what my risk is and go do some calculations. Ultimately, I want that done for me. So we have all of that here on the adjustable menus. As you can see, we have the number of contracts, whether long or short, the market. Now, you might, why is that important? Because I know what chart I'm on. Trust me, it'll be very important once you realize the advanced functionality here. We have a price value. We have the risk reward in currency. We have the risk reward in ticks. We have the account it's being traded on. Okay. Again, why would I need to know that? It will become more apparent throughout the presentation. Okay. So we have further functionality, scale in and scale out of positions. Now, this one to me is very cool because it gives me the capability of adding more targets, right? Or adding more entries without ever having to leave the chart. Okay, so what I can do is get into a position. And as you can see here, that we have, let me circle back for just a moment. Remember, we talked about the intuitive menu. Notice how a lot of pretty much everything except for the buy entry you saw. Remember earlier when we were talking about the quick access menu itself, you saw a bunch of different things, right? But now you only see a few. Well, what it's doing is recognizing, oh, hold on a minute, there was a buy entry and we entered into a position. So now we have the ability to add to that position. We can simply close that position, and or we could remove from that position. Okay. Now you will see add and remove both in the menu simultaneously, but right for video purposes, we wanted to kind of separate them out and show you how this is going to work. I will tell you, once you click, so once you see this check mark, that means I've opted to remove from the position. So what I don't want to, I don't want to flip flop now and go add to it, right? I think that goes without saying, but suffice to say, I'll say it anyway. But ultimately, we could remove from the position. Think of this again as we've notated here, the scaling, right? So scaling in or scaling out of open positions. We've already talked about the built-in tick and currency risk calculators, okay? And, just to be a little bit more specific, we kind of highlight those here. So what it's going to do is going to break down, and it's going to tell us exactly what those numbers are dependent on how we move and adjust the labels. So if we're moving our stop down, it's going to continuously tell me, oh, whoa, 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 like, maybe I'm going too far. Maybe my risk is, 1,000. Well, if I keep dragging this stop down, it might go to 1,050, 1,100, whatever it is. But ultimately, I'm going to see that number here. Similarly, I'm going to see the number of ticks at risk as well. So what you can see here is pretty basic, right? You can see that we have a stop here, we have an entry, and then we have, I'm going to skip over this, our trigger line, which essentially automates the break even. However, or the stop moving to break even, that is. If you skip ahead, though, we can see this green label. This is our target. And just using the numbers here, you can easily see that's a 2-to-1, right? So we have 80 ticks at 160 ticks profit, $1,000 at $2,000 profit. Of course, everything we're talking about is hypothetical, right? I just want to keep that in mind. Okay, very good. So we talked about all the calculators, right? So we want to get now to the entry time in force. Folks, I promise I'll try to make this a little bit more fun just in a moment, but there's so much functionality here I want to show you the vast capabilities of the tool so that you understand this is not just a run-of-the-mill tool that I could throw at a single methodology. This tool can be used for any trading methodology that exists, right? Anything. So we could put this on any, it could be a moving average, crossover strategy, could be a Fibonacci ratio, could be supply and demand, could be support and resistance. I could go on and on. But ultimately, this will make our trade management much easier. Okay. Okay, so as we move forward, we have ample amounts of settings here that give you, the trader, more flexibility. All right, such as to say, we have entry time and force control. Now, you might say, but I already have time and force control. Yes, we do. But we're separating that out. So we give you time and force control for not only one trade, but for the bracket order as well. So we have our entry as well as our exit time and force. There are reasons for this, trust me. And again, this is what the questions right now, you're going to want to ask these in our follow-up event because I don't have a lot of time during this presentation, right? But trust me, there's use cases for all of this, and you may not even be aware of them. I will tell you in this case, it is somewhat broker dependent. Some brokers accept overnight market orders, some don't, right? It's very important that we understand this. But again, I only have a limited amount of time. Okay, so as we're moving forward, we have exits, time and force control, as we just mentioned. We have entry, stop, and exits, which we can select market or limit. Okay, intuitively, our software is going to recognize if it needs to be a stop market or a general market order. So it's going to do that work for us. We have entry and stop limit offset options. Okay. So for example, if we want to enter on the, let's use that Renko bar, right? If we wanted to enter on the close of a Renko bar, up or down bar, we could do that. And then we could offset our entry by X amount of ticks, some things like that. Now let's circle back just one second to the entry, stop, and target order type. Remember, just like the time and force, we're giving extreme flexibility. We want the user to be able to say, hey, I might want my entry to be a market order, and I might want my stop to be a market order, but I want my targets to be limits. I don't want to give up, whatever. It just neither here nor there. Suffice to say, you can pull and whatever you desire, you can pull that setting right here. So a common case, I'll just give you a kind of a use case. I like to, again, this is not a recommendation, never I give those, but I do enjoy utilizing limit orders for entry, limit orders for target, but I must have a market order for my stop. I do not want to, if I'm on the other side of my stop, get me out of that position. Okay. Limit orders can get us in big trouble there. Again, we'll talk more about this in our session if you desire that. Okay. All right. Very good. So a lot of other functionality goes into this, folks. I'm trying to get you out to the charts as quickly as I can, but I'm just going to kind of notate a few of the feature highlights here. We have multiple entry types. We looked at that in the dropdown. We have buy and sell entries. We have RBR and DBD entries. Those are a little bit more applicable to our methodology, but essentially those are based on continuation patterns. We have up and down bar entries and so on. Okay, so we can pretty much cover across the board what type of entry we need. We have hedging order submission. Now let's stop on this one for just a second. Okay, and let's go over here to the settings. So where I say submit orders to, one would think when I submit an order, it's going to go to the chart, right? So if I'm on the S&P 500, for example, I'm going to submit an order to the S&P 500. Well, not so much. Slow down, because back up a minute. Remember, I mentioned before that we could and or we would learn a little bit more throughout the presentation why that was so important, and we would come back to it. So the hedge instrument, and or me referring to the secondary icon is what I'm referring to at the very beginning of this presentation. So the secondary icon could allow us to submit orders on the corresponding chart to a completely different market. Hypothetical. I'm on the S&P 500 E-mini, let's say micro. No, let's go the other way. So I'm on the E-mini S&P 500 futures contract. I love the data. I can get years upon years upon years, far more than the micro version. So I want to use that market for my data, but I want to submit it to the micro version. Okay. So 1/10 of what I'm looking at. So I could do that simply by a few changes. I could say the hedge instrument, specify that to be the micro E-mini futures. And then down here, I could say submit orders to the hedge instrument. And that's what this is right here, right? So we're going to be able to submit the orders to any market that we desire from a single chart. Okay, a lot of advanced functionality there. We have bracket order OCO customization. I can do that all from the chart, manipulate it, and move it around, toggle it. Again, it's going to always maintain those calculations, etc. We have break-even trigger customization. So that means I can take that trigger line. Remember, just a moment ago, I said, okay, I'm going to skip over that trigger line and just kind of look at the target. But that trigger line is very important because what it does, if opted for, meaning if enabled, it's going to automate my stop moving to break even plus commissions at such point. So if that trigger line gets touched, my stop will indeed move to break even plus commissions. Well, what is plus commissions? There's a setting for that, right? So you as the user have the flexibility to specify, maybe we want to go 1 tick. That's fine. Maybe we want to go 10, right? Or what have you, but it's all customizable. We have the close position from the menu. I think you saw that earlier in one of the slides we had here. We can, this is not, rocket science here. I mean, you can do this from, for example, you could open up the chart trader and just hit the close position, but since we're handling all this functionality, we prefer to stay within the menu. We don't want to go anywhere else. I told you this before. We want to go to one place, right, and handle everything. Now, this feature right here, very important. Attach OCO to open position. Here's an issue, okay? I'm going to give it to you right here, hypothetical. And you've probably had this happen. And this is, platform-wide. It happens across the board. It's industry kind of, it's very common issue, if you will. But let's say that you go out and you submit your entry with an OCO attached to it. And that entry does not get filled, but it's still submitted out there, right? Which means that it's sitting on the exchange. Uh-oh, I just lost internet connectivity. By the way, I heard a lot of people had issues with that today. I'm very sorry to hear that if you did. That being said, okay, so I lost internet connectivity. Oh no, I have to restart my platform and try to get back up. Well, understand you just left a naked position out in the market and we got to get to it quickly. We talk about this in our live room, how to handle those situations, such as having the trade desk on a speed dial and so on. But ultimately, this is a feature right here that we want to focus on. When we open that chart, any chart, and it has an open position on it, we have the ability from our dropdown to select and attach OCO option, which will immediately put an OCO on that. We can adjust it however we desire, submit it immediately. Okay. So let's remove the burden. Let's take it down a notch. The stress goes down, right? We're okay. So all I need to do is get my platform reloaded. I got the trade desk on speed dial. All I got to do is click a button, submit it, boom, there's my OCO again, and everything is good to go, okay? So that OCO is now reattached, and everything is, a little bit less stressful at that point, okay? Define location, entry zone. There, we have specific videos around this. I don't have enough time to explain it today. I can see that we only have about 10 to 15 minutes left. So I'm going to kind of skip to, towards the end to the best of my ability, go ahead and get out to the live charts. But I can tell you this location entry zone I'm not going to share the link directly here in the presentation just because, we didn't discuss that in advance. I will, however, share it in our follow-up session on Monday. So if you just want to jump into that, I'll share all this information with you. And you can just click, it's just a YouTube video, folks, but you can see the functionality and what the entry zone actually is and does, okay? So again, we talked about trading any market from any chart. We talked about, or rather we have not talked about trading multiple accounts. So if you go over here to these settings, okay, you can see up here towards the top where it specifies an account, and currently it's set to SIM 101. Now I could click the drop down and all of my accounts readily available throughout the NinjaTrader platform will be listed. Some have more than others, right? But suffice to say, they will be there. And what you don't know, what you're not seeing in this image right here, is that this is specific to the primary order menu, the primary and secondary. If you remember back to the beginning of the presentation, you saw a plus icon, and then I told you there was a secondary icon that could be used as, to, submit additional orders and so on and so forth. All right. So for example, I could set this to SIM 101. There's an entirely different section with the exact same settings here, but I could specify that one to be SIM 102. So now from the same chart, get this, here's a hypothetical. I'm on the E-mini SP futures. I could set primary menu to execute orders on said market, on the default market. That is to say the E-mini futures, SP E-mini futures. I could go to my secondary and I could say, no, if I want to submit those orders, I need those to go to the micro E-mini, right? Or any other market. There's no limit there as long as you have data for it. But ultimately, this is opening up capabilities that are quite advanced. And we have the ability to amplify trade copiers. This is very cool. I like this feature, you see. In the video that we're going to talk about in our follow-up session, where you can see, us doing the whole evaluation thing and all that, and how we use the tool. What we do is we use the tool, but just think of a trade copier for a second. A trade copier essentially takes, a trade on an account, and it passes it along to other accounts and duplicates it, or replicates it rather, right? What if you could take and do all that, but then you could actually double the ability to do that, right? And that's what the PFA order suite is doing. Remember, because we have two accounts, two different order menus that can function. So we could have one go to one account, which is going to be thereby submitted to and or copied to, 1 through 10 accounts, okay, via the trade copier. We could have the secondary menu go to account number 2, which is thereby going to be submitted to the 11 through 20 accounts via the trade copier. Okay, so again, we're taking a tool that we don't even, we have no real reason to build a trade copier, right? But we're taking their tools and we're doubling the functionality that you can have within them. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And then we can amplify the prop funding, options, of course. So if I only wanted to, I know you can go through different. Let's say you had a prop firm number 1, go out, try to do an evaluation for that one. Go out prop firm number 2, try to do an evaluation for that one. Well, what I could do is amplify that and also simplify it. Take it to one chart, set my primary to account 1 or prop firm 1, set my account 2 to prop firm 2, right? So then I could do all of that from one chart and never have to leave it. Okay, so hopefully you can see how we're trying to simplify things, folks. All right, very good. So one other thing, I'm just going to intro this. I'm not going to, really go into any of the features. I assure you there are far too many for me to do that today, but I'm happy to do it during our follow-up session. A tool to reduce supply-demand subjectivity. So this we call, so let me think about it like this, or rather, if you don't mind, think about it like this. There is what we call the PFA suite, okay? It's which version of the suite are you getting? Okay, so the order suite is the trade management. The zone suite, as you can see highlighted at the bottom, actually includes the order suite. And in different terminology, the zone suite is going to encompass all of the trade management functionality as well. Simply put, you would not need to go out and buy both tools if you bought the PFA zone suite, okay? All right, so it is designed to reduce subjectivity and increase time efficiency by automatically drawing supply and demand zones on the price chart. It utilizes price recognition, volume distribution, and market volatility in its calculations, which are displayed on the chart with custom graphics. They can be used for enhanced confluence purposes and for keeping track of historical data, which is indeed fully back testable. It's very important. Everything we do is back testable. Okay. All right, folks. Here's so we're going to get to the fun part, right? I'm just kidding, but no. So we're going to get to the offer. Let's just go ahead and get that up. Number one, free, completely free. All you need to do is click the link in which I'm about to provide you. Okay, we're going to go up to the chat. There we go. Just click that link, folks. Again, this is completely free. All you're doing is basically signing up for a newsletter. These are going to be for our free, always free, by the way, always free educational events, software training events, etc. If you register for that, you will be notified and have all of the login details for Monday's event. Okay. So that's going to happen Monday, February 26th of this year, of course. Sometimes I have, it's like 2023. What year is it? Oh my goodness. All right. So it's going to happen February 26th. That's a Monday at 10 a.m. In other words, this coming Monday. All right. Where? Of course, at the link I just pasted into the chat. All right. And as I said, we're going to get right out to the offer. So let's don't mince, words or kind of beat around the bush, so to speak. Let's just get right to it. If you want the order suite, we're going to go ahead and discount that from $299 all the way down to $239.20. That is indeed a lifetime license. If you'd like the zone suite, which again encompasses the order suite, but also adds a lot more functionality. So if you're a supply and demand trader or support and resistance trader, or you just like all of the functionality that we will discuss in Monday's session and so on, then of course you might want to opt for that. And if you do, it is generally $699. We will decline that value to $559.20. I should say discount that value, right? Okay. All right. So we'll get you, essentially we're giving you 20% off, folks. Okay. So you're not trying to, push this or anything. We just don't do discounts that often. I don't recall the last one. I think it was, we don't do like typically holiday discounts or anything, or we haven't. I'm not going to say we never will. Don't want you to put yourself in a box. But we haven't offered discounts in quite some time. However, we always do when we come into our wonderful ecosystem, okay, the NinjaTrader ecosystem. We always want to make sure we take care of you all, okay, because you take care of us. So we appreciate that very much. All right. So that's going to come the suite license. You're going to have the hedger included. That is the secondary order menu. Okay. You're going to get access to the forum, member-only forum, community support. And as a bonus, we're going to include what we call our PFA tab selector, entirely different product. Again, if you want to contact us, or we can discuss it in our upcoming session. That's a very cool product that allows you to jump between NinjaTrader chart tabs simultaneously. So it's a pretty cool thing, but we're going to include it for free, okay? And then finally, if you're interested in our methodology, our training in general, our trading training, our trader training, if you will, we're going to go ahead and discount this for you too. So our yearly you can get for $15.99, normally, well, $15.99.20 to be exact, normally $19.99. And then you can also, and this is this is something that might want to grab onto if you're really thinking about long term, but we're discounting this all the way from $49.99 to $39.99.20. Okay. All right. Very good, folks. So without further ado, let's get out to the charts. Okay. Okay. So I told you that you would see this, on the chart. And we have about 5 minutes here. So I'm going to answer some questions. And I want to show you a few things, about this. Remember, I told you there were additional entry features, things like that. Now watch what happens. I gave you an example or a scenario earlier. And I said, what would happen if I disabled that OCO bracket? Remember, I told you the break even would disappear. So that's an intuitive feature. There it becomes readily available again. Entry zone, I told you new functionality would appear. Okay. So this is what I mean. It's an intuitive menu. You're going to see all of the functionality readily available at the appropriate time, if you will. So if you don't have, if something's not, if the functionality is not available at that time for very specific reasons, of course, then there's really no point in showing it in the menu because that can just create a little bit more of a less user-friendly environment. And that's the last thing that we want to do. Okay. So we have primary and secondary. If we hover over these, we can see both the market and the account that's being submitted to. Okay. If I want to toggle these on, I can do that. I can manipulate them. As I said before, they're going to constantly keep track of our calculations. Okay. Nice and clean. You're wondering maybe how the calculations are being contained as they are. Remember, I told you this is set to a 2-to-1. So the trigger line is currently set to a 1-to-1. Target is set to a 2-to-1. So that's just going to maintain those calculations. Now, if I want, well, you might say, well, I don't want to do that. Maybe I want a 2.5-to-1 or a 2.3 or a 2.8-to-1 or a 57-to-1. I don't know. If we drag our target, any of our exit values, and that would include our trigger line and or target or targets, we can specify up to 3 initial targets. But remember, please remember, once we're in that position, we have the ability to add and remove at any time. So technically, we have like an unlimited amount of add, and remove features. In other words, an unlimited amount of targets, or stops. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Scaling in and out of those positions. Back to the point at hand. If I don't want exactly 2-to-1, notice the line, how it is solid here. If I move it, it is now dashed. That means no longer will the calculations be maintained. Okay. Of the 2-to-1s and so on and so forth. So I can manipulate now at any point, any of these, and it's going to always give me the calculators, but it's not going to maintain that. So I can get a little bit more manual with this if I want to, okay? And then we can keep it this simple. All I have to do is hit a button, boom, and there I am done, okay? So if I click a button, I get a notification. If I want to cancel the corresponding order, I click a button. If I don't like what I did, I can reset my orders, right? Now, the reason you're seeing them specified as such is because I have just in my settings a maximum of 1,000 ticks. This is within 1,000 ticks, so it's 937, but it still remains within the chart visible area. Okay, so a lot of things. But let's get to the questions because I only have a couple minutes left, and I will address each and every one of the remaining questions in our session on Monday. Please don't forget to go ahead. I'm just going to, let's see here. That's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to repost this. Okay. I want to get you all into that free session. That allows me to not worry about time. I can literally sit and hang with you all as long as you have questions or wondering about functionality. We can go far more in depth. Now, the number 2 link that I'm going to share for you is the order suite link in and of itself. And finally, the 3rd link that I'm going to share with you is pertaining to the zone suite. Okay. So if you just want to copy those few links, you can go out and just kind of check those out. Let us know if you have any questions. All right, so let me see if I can go through the questions real quick. Don't want to hold Thomas up here. Okay, so let's see here. Nagoti, I'm sorry, or maybe Paul. I'll just call you Paul. Okay. The welcome HTTPS. I hope that we got you the link that you were looking for. I purchased Tarius, you saying I purchased a 25,000 or 25K account with Apex on the 9th. I'm currently trading with MetaTrader. Just don't know how to place a trade on NinjaTrader. My risk management is excellent. Just need help with futures. Listen, we're not affiliated. Well, as far as let me explain that. We're not in any way partnered. Okay, just to be clear with prop firms or anything like that. But we like to share things as we get them. However, given the level of support that we try to offer, I will be happy to help you with that. Uh, Terrius, just contact me or PFA, support at purefinancialacademy.com outside of this presentation. And I will be I'll be happy to help you with answering that question, okay? Because it's going to take a little bit more in depth, a little bit more time. Is this only for NinjaTrader? Indeed, it is. We are NinjaTrader specific. We love those guys and gals. We sure do. All right. By the way, we tried to, code in other platforms. We quickly just realized, hey, look, it's not conducive with the functionality that we attempt to offer. When it calculates the risk, is that including the commissions or not? No, that's not including commissions. You would have to do that. You can do that, but you would have to do it inside of the NinjaTrader architecture, and they have a specific, I'll let you ask them about that because they have a specific commissions amount that you can actually add into that. So that's a great feature. Okay. Yeah. So Terrence, you noticed the internet connection loss. I'm sorry to hear that. What is the tab selector? Please send me that question again. Let me do this. Okay. There's the email. Send that question to me because, as I said, there's a video on it. We're going to talk about this. You know what? Better yet, just join Monday's session. Ask that question, and I will get you taken care of. But more importantly, I'll provide you a link and everything so that you can actually view it, as opposed to just get me, verbally explaining it. Okay. Yeah, I would love to, KJ. I'm sorry, I'm just running out of time. Is there a discount code or something to get the discounted rate? Absolutely, there is. The discount is, of course, Ninja. All right. And I'm almost through here just to get, okay. Very good. All right, I think I've done it. Oh, guys, but look, I gotta run. I did run Thomas over 3 minutes here. That is, oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Thomas. Listen, we don't want to do that, so we want to get out of here in time. I want to thank you all again for your precious time. I know it is very precious. We do appreciate it all. We would love to see you on Monday's event, so please sign up for that. It's registered again, it's free. And then, Thomas, I'm going to turn it back over to you, my friend, and really appreciate you, allowing me the additional 3 minutes. You are a true gentleman. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you again to Will for taking the time to share with us today. If you enjoyed today's session, we hope to see you in future webinars. Follow us on social media for alerts about upcoming events and other NinjaTrader ecosystem news. We would like to remind you that the information provided was that of Pure Financial Academy and not of NinjaTrader. All information was for educational purposes and should not be construed as trading advice. Enjoy the rest of your day. We hope to see you in future webinars. Happy trading from all of us here at the NinjaTrader ecosystem.